All right, so Andy, co-founder of Chakra Nutrition, and also the man responsible for me spending well over an hour on TikTok this morning, just going through all of the different videos. It was really entertaining, so thank you for that. I guess the first question is, how did it all begin? Where did you guys start?
So we started early on in the pandemic. My co-founder Justin and I, we graduated back in 2020 and 2021, so right when the pandemic started. And gyms were closed in Ontario, Canada, where we live. So it became extra important for us to watch what we were eating, right? Because we didn't have that opportunity to like exercise other than those really shitty at-home workouts.
Yeah.
But you know, if you know Justin and I think the one thing that we would never give up in our lives is bubble tea. We like to stay active throughout the majority of our lives, whether it's like a Saturday morning basketball run or going to the gym. But you know, drinking bubble tea, it isn't necessarily synonymous with health or staying fit. So you know, during the pandemic, we were just really craving a good cup of bubble tea, but we didn't want to feel guilty about it. So the idea came up of just like, how exactly do we find a balance between the two? And we landed on the idea of a bubble tea flavored protein powder. We started product development around October of 2020, and that was for our first flavor, milk tea. Product development took about a year, and we finally had our first run of inventory in November of 2021. But as two pretty broke recent graduate students, we didn't have that much money to spend on marketing. So we really took advantage of TikTok and started posting about our journey, why we're doing what we're doing, and officially launched in December of 2021, and sold out within the day.
Yeah, I saw. Well, first of all, I can really resonate with those shitty at-home workouts because I think we all tried them, and I think none of us really were too motivated to continue. But that's really interesting actually to understand, how you guys started and also why. So TikTok, that's very interesting. We're going to go into that more in a sec. But you, before we go also more into your brand and the successful launches you guys had, if I'm not mistaken as well, you're running Chakra Nutrition as a side hustle, aren't you? It's not your full-time job, is it?
No, it's not. So yeah, it is our side hustle. Justin and I both have a 9 to 5 job. We both work in technology, and then our 5 to 9 we like to say is chakra nutrition. It has been pretty difficult managing, but we're doing our best to find a balance between the two. I definitely think that you know what we found to be most important for us is just creating sustainable habits, right? Because obviously, like the 9 to 5 is going to be really draining.
Yeah.
You know, you're staring at a screen the entire day. You're interacting with different people, and because we're in technology, the stuff that we're learning during our work is very different from the things that we're doing at Chakra Nutrition. So I guess yeah, at the end of the day, like how exactly are we, you know, keeping ourselves healthy mentally but also physically, to make sure that we're building the business the best we can.
Okay, that's super interesting though, to have a 9 to 5 and then on top of that have this brand. But I agree. I also had a job before where it was looking at a screen the whole day and you're really focused entire time. And if you don't have the right habits, you're not going to be able to be productive at the end of the day because you just want to relax and do other things. So that's really interesting. So do you feel now that you guys have found um, the a sustainable way of doing the two jobs at the same time, or are you still trying to find that perfect balance?
I think it really ranges just depending on the time of the season, right? Obviously, just like when we're running major campaigns, it's going to get super busy.
Yeah.
And then that's when the balance definitely slips. But we still do our best to, you know, eat 3 meals a day, get 8 hours of sleep, see the people that we care about.
Yeah.
But, you know, when things aren't as busy, we still like to take the time to just like enjoy life, right? And I think that's, you know, that's what balance is really all about. Um, I think that you know, like the social component behind life in general. I don't want to get too cheesy or anything, but like I think that what's made the process enjoyable is that I've still both Justin and I are still pretty young, and we're trying to make the most out of our 20s right now.
Yeah.
And you know, trying to find a balance between work, but also you know, traveling and you know, experiencing different things has also been really important to us. So like that, I guess like in general, like that's the way that we find our balance. And it does get difficult at times, but we do our best to manage.
That's really good. I love what you mentioned, and it sounds like you guys are really enjoying more the journey, and the actual process instead of just focusing on the end goal. And I guess that just
Mm.
makes it all the more fun because regardless of how it's happening, if you're still enjoying your time, I think that's really when you're having fun. Quick, I was just wondering because I remember when I was trying to also build my sort of side hustle while I had a job. One time there was this problem on the store and I just could not get on my computer, so I had to wait till the end of the day to be able to actually do the changes. Do you still have that flexibility of doing changes if you need to?
Um,
Or maybe
yes
you
and
never
no.
had
It just
problems while you were working. That's also possible.
I would say that we're lucky because Justin works 100% remotely. I
Okay.
still have to go into office every now and then. And I think that's like the added benefit of just ha doing this with your friend
Yeah.
is that if I'm in office and like I don't have my personal computer in front of me and like I don't know, shit really hits the fan, then I can lean on Justin, like pending he's not busy or in a meeting
Yeah.
or something, right? To fix whatever needs to be fixed. I'm trying to think like of an instance of when things actually went wrong, but I don't think that anything terrible has happened yet, where we weren't able to like come up with a solution.
Perfect. Okay. Well, that's good news. Sounds like you guys are a good team, especially if he can, quickly adapt and make the changes necessary. So if we go a little bit more into the brand now, you mentioned a very, very successful launch. You had multiple successful launches, I believe. How did you guys manage to get such successful launches every time? What was the strategy there?
I think there are there are two things. The first thing is just about telling our story, and I think that being a little bit more personable about the brand, because I feel like a lot of people don't get the insights of, running a small business or why certain brands are doing the things that they're doing. And because bubble tea is such a popular drink that's just known for not being healthy, um, people get an earful from it, whether it's from their parents or whether it's from their peers.
Yeah.
So hearing that, we made a healthier version of bubble tea really resonated from them. And a lot of people who follow the Chocolate Nutrition TikTok account or the Instagram account, like they hopefully or they genuinely enjoy like following along with our story, which is great to see. So I think that's the first part, just being a little bit more of a storyteller and being more personable. And it's what I mentioned earlier as well, where you want to be interacting with a human being
Yeah.
at the end of the day. You don't necessarily want to be interacting with a company with like no face to it. You want to have like a little bit of pizzazz or personality, right?
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is a lot of people like underestimate the value of luck, and it might be like a little bit of a controversial opinion, but I think that personally, luck is involved in a lot of different elements in success, right? You
Yeah.
can't attribute everything to hard work, but I think that the harder that you work, the luckier you do become. Um, and so, being on TikTok, the algorithm is always changing
Yes.
and it's really dynamic in terms of whether or not you get views, right? You've probably heard plenty of stories where creators post TikToks 3 or 4 times, and the first 2 or 3 times they might get a couple thousand views, but that third or fourth time when they post that video, they'll get hundreds of thousands of views, right? So there's definitely like an element of luck that's involved. But as long as you're constantly learning, you're adapting, and you're working hard, like I'm confident that like you'll get luckier.
So many interesting points you mentioned there. So many golden nuggets as well. I love what you mentioned of storytelling. I think that's really a huge differentiator for a lot of brands is the actual story you tell. Also, when I saw that you guys have 27 grams of protein in your drinks, I think in and of itself that is just a huge wow factor. So people do get interested, in that, I'm sure. Also, I love the harder you work, the luckier you get. That's 100% true. And yeah, there always is some element of luck, but again, if you work really, really hard, you have more chance of actually getting lucky. So if we talk a little bit more about TikTok now, before we actually go into the importance of TikTok for you guys, out of all the different social media platforms, why did you guys actually decide to go with TikTok?
Because we had like 5 cents in our bank account. But in all seriously, yeah, we didn't have that much money to use to begin with. But I think that like TikTok was really starting to get big when we were planning out our business,
Okay.
right? You hear about like it's relatively difficult to grow on platforms like Instagram, Facebook, or even like Google, because like I don't know how many people are realistically typing into Google like bubble tea protein powder,
Yeah, a few, I
right?
think.
Especially when it wasn't that big of a thing back then. Um, and so TikTok was a way that all the creator like TikTok is essentially a meritocracy, right? So if you're putting out
Yeah.
good content, you're gonna get views, or that at least that's the hope,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
Where like I mean, you could be like a super small account, and you still have the opportunity to blow up on TikTok. So I think the way that we saw is like TikTok was a no cost option, and it was a way to really tell our story, and communicate, build a community, and eventually, hopefully, branch out to other platforms like Instagram, and convert sales on our stores.
Okay, yeah, that's very interesting. It's yeah, just so basically from what I'm getting is you guys started with TikTok because there's the potential to get people at scale from the beginning. I agree also YouTube, yeah, it's really difficult to actually go viral there. And you've had, the proof yourself that some of your TikToks, they just go really, really viral. And I'm sure that you got, decent amount of sales from that. So having certain viral videos, I'm talking hundreds of thousands of views with some of your TikToks. Do you now think that you have an understanding of what can make a video go viral, or do you think it's just purely dependent on luck?
I definitely think that there are elements of the video that can help it go viral. But I think, like I mentioned earlier, there is some sort like a small element of luck that's involved.
Yeah.
Just like in terms of um like the structure of the TikTok. I won't go too much into like the secret sauce that we try to add into every
Okay.
TikTok.
Yeah.
But I think that um people wanna people want to be talked with. They want to be
Okay.
talked to, right? And what I mean by that is that if you think about like the the last time that you were in a classroom, your teacher is talking to you.
Yeah.
You're basically participating in a lecture, right? And how many people lose focus in that lecture?
Yeah. A
But
lot.
when you're having a conversation with someone, um,
Ah,
that basically helps like get them engaged a little bit more. So I think that like the more conversational your style on TikTok, the more engaging the video is going to be.
yeah. I love that. Yeah. So really give the people what they want and the reason they're on that platform. They're there for entertainment, they're there to be engaged with, and actually adapting your content towards that. Is that what you guys have noticed that just works well?
Yeah, exactly. I think bottom line is just um, you wanna you wanna be able to interact with people as much as possible. And at the end of the day, I don't want to sound like I'm lecturing you about something, or I'm like trying to only pitch my business. Like I'm trying to be as human as possible while I'm on TikTok.
That's true. That's definitely a vibe I got from you guys when having gone through a lot of TikToks this morning. It's never just pitchy where you're just trying to, force your product down people's throat. There's always a funny approach to it. There was even that TikTok where I believe you broke the oven when it cost like $500 or something. At least you're even just talking about the product, but you're adding such a fun twist to it, and that even could get people interested. So yeah, I really, really like those tips on just making good TikToks. I'm just curious, actually, what's your motivation then? Just to go back a little bit about, your journey. What's your motivation then with your co-founder to actually launch this brand? What's the thing that keeps you guys running even when things aren't necessarily going your way?
I think that there's definitely like a lot of different elements behind it. I think like when we think about the company, I think that there's definitely like a lot of huge opportunity to grow this community out, to help them find balance in their lives. Because I'm not, I sound like a broken record at this point, but bubble tea is notorious for being bad for you, right? It is not synonymous with health.
Until you guys
So
get
there's definitely yeah. So it's just like there's just this huge um opportunity for us to connect with different people who love bubble tea and who are trying to be like 1% healthier every single day. and just like give them the chance to connect the two together. Unite great health with great taste.
Yeah.
So I think that I think just like in terms of like the product, that's where our head's at. In terms of like the brand itself, I think that nutrition is something that is somewhat boring, if I'm being 100% honest. Like me personally, I'm super passionate about health and fitness. But you know, if you take a look at someone who's not necessarily as excited about the topic, and you try to convince them to go to the gym every day, eat well 7 days out of the week, they're probably, yeah, chances are they just tell you to fuck off, right?
Yeah. Big time.
Um, so like I think that like from a brand perspective, we just want to make things a little bit more exciting for everyone, right?
Okay.
We want people to get excited about the idea of looking forward to your health. Um, and then I think that like even going like a layer deeper is just like from a personal perspective.
Yeah.
I think that Justin and I are very privileged to be in the position that we're in. And it would definitely wouldn't do our lives justice if we didn't take advantage of that privilege, right?
Okay.
So I think that like the fact that we're in a really good position, financially, socially, um, and we're both healthy individuals. We should be taking advantage of the fact that we're in this position, and we should be doing our best to take advantage of everything that we do have.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I love already the vision. Like you mentioned, nutrition can be a bit boring sometimes. I 100% agree. I'm also a huge fan of it. So you find ways to make it interesting. But for the average person who's not gonna, put their mind to it, it's just gonna be eat chicken, broccoli, and rice, and it doesn't get more depressing really than that.
There's a
So
classic meal. There's a classic gym bro meal.
exactly. We've all had it, but I don't think none of us really enjoyed it too much. And then also, yeah, if you have the possibility to do more and to have a positive impact, I think that's really beautiful that you guys are doing that. You mentioned community before, and I noticed that you guys just love chatting and interacting with, your customers and your followers. How important do you think that is nowadays to have a real relationship with your customers?
I think it's everything, especially because there are such big companies out there,
Yeah.
right? Um, I think, okay, like let's say worst case, okay, I'm just gonna throw this idea out there. Hopefully, like no one from, I don't know, Amazon is listening, for example, or just like some other big company.
Okay.
Let's say, for example, that like Amazon decided to make their own bubble tea flavored protein powder. Fingers crossed that they don't. Um, like they're obviously like a lot bigger. They have a lot more money than us. They have the fulfillment networks. And they would just be able to, like outsell us, right? But I think like what really makes, that personal touch point so special is that you're creating a relationship with your customers. And so like with that relationship, it becomes like very personal.
Mhm.
And it's something that like people resonate with. It's just like they want to be on this journey with you. They don't want to be just like another customer to another big brand like Amazon.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because like you said, they've got the budget for it, but people at the end of the day also they want to be part of something and they want to resonate with a brand. And I agree that I also noticed a lot of smaller brands actually generally are just growing really well because of their story. And that's something you guys are doing really, really well. Now, what is you think one of the most important thing that you've learned since launching your brand?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that the most important thing that I've learned personally is just to show up every single day.
Okay.
Um, and showing up is gonna look so different um every single day for every single person because I think that um when people think about, doing their best, they probably compare like the moment where they were at their peak. So like
Yeah.
100% productivity. They had 8 hours of sleep. They ate well that day. They got a I don't know, they got a good workout in.
Yeah.
Overall, they're healthy and they're productive. But realistically, like that's not gonna happen for you every single
Yeah.
day, right? Like bad stuff's just gonna happen. Things are just not gonna go your way, or maybe you're just really fatigued from your 9 to 5. Um, so I think that like showing up, it simply just means just like doing what you can, given your circumstances. So sometimes your 100% for that day is only gonna be 30%
Hmm.
on your best day. And that's completely okay, right? I think just as long as you're doing what you can, that's gonna put you in a position to really push your vision forward. Because I think that like it really just boils down to consistency when you decide to show up. And I think a lot of people would be surprised by how much 30 minutes a day can actually like how much progress you can actually make.
Yeah, that's very interesting. For the compound effect of doing a little bit all the time, and and also, yeah, just like you said, showing up every day. I think that's a really, really good piece of advice. And it goes back to what you mentioned with habits. If you just have the right habits in place, you're always just going to keep doing what you need to do. So I really like that. Now, there are so many brands that they start selling a product online, and sometimes it just doesn't seem to work out. Whether it's maybe the product, it's the marketing team, it can even be sometimes unit economics. There's so many reasons for it not to work. What do you think are the most crucial elements a brand needs nowadays to actually find some success online?
Mhm. I definitely don't think that like a killer product is um gonna be like sustainable for you nowadays because
Okay,
like a big brand is like bound to like catch on eventually and just do the exact same thing, or some ideas are just like easily replicable.
okay,
So I think that one, I think brand is super important. Um, and that goes back to a lot of what we were saying earlier around storytelling. Really communicating your values and the different like how you can add value to your customers' lives. I think that's the first thing. Um, I think another thing that's really important to be successful is just like creating a really solid foundation,
nice.
and not skipping steps, right? Because I think that you know everything's everything's going to be in flux when you first start your business, and there's going to be so many things that are flying around you. But what's really important is you stick to your core. You make sure that your foundation is set, whether it's your manufacturing or whether it's the tools that you decide to use, and then you begin scaling from there. I think that like once people try to skip steps and their foundation isn't set, they'll find that their business is going to collapse pretty quickly.
Okay, that's really good advice there, especially having the right foundations. Because then, if certain things don't go too well, you always have a strong foundation to rely on. Now, I'm sure that you've already noticed that there are some days, like you said, you're really motivated, you're 100%, and other days things don't necessarily go your way. You've got roadblocks, you've got unexpected events. What was, and again, this is not too personal, what was one of the toughest challenge you could say you guys had, and how did you actually overcome that challenge?
Hmm. I think that one of the biggest challenges that we had was just with the delays. So I guess just like a little bit of context is when we had first launched our business, we had sold out within the day, and then we had a second launch about a month or two afterwards, and then we had sold out for that launch as well. So that was simply because we just didn't have enough money to invest into more inventory. So what we decided to do is we ran a pre-order phase.
Okay,
Um, like a couple of months later, so that our customers wouldn't be limited by the amount of money that we had on hand. So
okay,
they would purchase the products ahead of time, and we would use that money to purchase the products and get inventory.
okay,
And so we had laid out this great pre-order phase with a timeline, um, telling customers that they can expect to receive their protein within 2 months' time. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, and there are just like a whole bunch of different supply chain issues. And long story short, like they didn't get their protein until like 3 or 4 months after, which was huge hit on us from a brand, especially when you're trying to start out, right?
yeah,
Like that was a huge challenge. I would say that it was really difficult to overcome because it was something that was completely out of our control. But I think it's just like we gained like a lot of value out of it, a lot of learnings, right? So I think like the first thing is like don't overpromise and underdeliver. That's definitely like a big thing. And I think just like it like I would say that we didn't necessarily like overcome the challenge, but I think it was just like it provided a lot of different like learnings for us. I can try to think of another challenge if that helps.
Well, that's I think that's already quite a big one. If you do have one, please do share. But I think that's already one. Mentally, it must be quite difficult because it's also, like you said, there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing instantly you can solve. It's just a question of waiting, and especially at the beginning, yeah, that probably doesn't really motivate you too much coming through, right?
Yeah, we got a lot of nasty emails from customers. It's like saying just like, oh, like where the hell is my product?
Yeah.
Like I want a refund immediately. And it was like it was a difficult time, right? Because like it was something that was out of our hands. And we were just like waiting at that point. There was literally nothing that we could do. But at the end of the day, it was a bump in our journey. Fingers crossed, nothing like that happens again. But because that had happened, both Justin and I have a better grasp of how to handle the situation in the future.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And also, maybe in a way, it's best to have it at the start. That way, you're not going to have it at scale. Imagine you had, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of people that actually bought it, and then you had that issue. I think on a larger scale, it would have been an even bigger problem. So at least you had it starting out, and now normally that shouldn't be a problem anymore. So let's bring it back a little bit more positive if we can. Then, how did it actually feel that day you got everything sold out? How did that feel? Those emotions? Run us through that a little bit.
Um, I think it was just relieving, to be
Okay.
honest, to really have it sorted out. I think that like um, you know, throughout like our entrepreneurial journey, like there's been like a lot of buildup of stress over time, and then eventually peaks. And like once everything gets figured out, kind of feel like a sense of relief.
Hmm.
But then I also think that there's almost like a steady state level of stress that you experience,
Yeah.
where it's just like, okay, it's great that we figured this out now,
But
but now there's like 100 more issues that we need to deal with. So I think that like it still felt really good. Don't get me wrong. Just like, okay, that's just one issue taken care of. But I think that that relief didn't last too long because we were just in the mindset just like, okay, what's next for us?
yeah, okay. You're always in the moment. You got to focus on the next step, and yeah, like you said, you always have that level of stress, and it's not it's all sold out. It's going to take care of itself. Now you really have to make sure everyone gets their product and all that. Okay, so then what in terms of can you tell us a little bit your upcoming plans for this year, and then also your long-term vision with the brand?
100%. So I think that like in the future, like we definitely are exploring just like the idea of supporting our fellow Canadians a little bit more.
Hmm.
I think that with everything opening up, a lot of people are starting to shop in store a little bit more. And at the end of the day, a lot of people, it's a lot. It can be sometimes be more convenient for them to go to the store than actually shop online, right? So hopefully, I think like one of our big plans this year and just moving forward is just to become a little bit more accessible. Whether that's like increasing the decreasing shipping times to get our products to our customers a little bit quicker,
Hmm.
or becoming more available in stores and on other shelves.
Okay.
Um, and of course, we are an Asian-inspired protein powder company. And so who knows, there might be some new flavors coming out. We only have three. We have milk tea, matcha, and taro right now. But yeah, the sky's the limit. Or I guess just like the number of bubble tea flavors that there are right now is the limit for us. We've only explored three of them.
Still a lot to
Um,
up then.
yeah,
Definitely.
still, I think just like in terms of just like the brand, um, I think that there's still a lot of opportunity, and I had mentioned this earlier, but I think like the vision for us is just to become one of like if yeah, the vision for us is to become the most exciting nutrition company there is.
Okay.
Um, I think that we don't want to make nutrition boring. We want to make it as exciting, as fun as possible, for anyone who's trying to be 1% healthier,
Okay.
right? I don't, yeah, I think that we still have ways to go, but we're excited to continue to ship post on TikTok. We're excited to continue interacting with our community, and ultimately, like we're excited to just like continue having fun building on our business.
That's beautiful. Again, going back to, enjoying the journey. Now, I wasn't planning on asking this, but you mentioned you want to be a fun nutrition brand. Are you then also going to think on expanding other than bubble tea, or you just want to focus mainly on that?
I think that we definitely don't want to just stick to bubble tea flavors.
Okay.
I think that there's a whole realm of Asian flavors that have yet to be explored that aren't necessarily associated with bubble tea. So to be determined, and yeah, to be announced.
All right. Okay. Well, that sounds like an interesting, exciting year for you guys, and also great vision. Now, the bonus question here, completely random, but if you were stuck on an island and you could only choose one of your products to come with you, which one would it be?
Ooh, um, I would I would definitely have to say matcha milk tea. It's probably just like there's a lot of health benefits that come from matcha,
Okay.
like the antioxidants. Also tastes like matcha, like a matcha latte, which is really important for us. Or sorry, I guess it's like important to me. And I think that like if I'm stuck on an island, I'm gonna need that protein.
Okay, so surviving in style. I love it. Okay, well, Andy, thank you so much for your time. It was super interesting. It was really nice to learn more about the entire journey. So I really appreciate you coming on. And then for anyone who is interested in learning more about your business or your mission, or you just want to buy some amazing bubble tea, I'll put all of the interesting and important description down below. So you guys definitely check that out. Andy, thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris.